Hello, everybody. I am Jake Steinberg, and this is Catch My Drift, the show where I try to get you to see my big dumb perspective. Today, we're talking about our most anticipated games for the rest of the year, sweet 2024. You know, I love looking forward to stuff. Looking forward to stuff is an underappreciated element in life that I think more of us should take advantage of. You know, the adult life. You wake up, you open your sweet eyeballs in the morning, you're rubbing that crust out of your eyes, and you're thinking, oh my God, my brain is being assaulted with a mental list of like 6, 7, 8 things I need to get done today. Chores, work, whatever it is, responsibilities. And I think having stuff to look forward to is a nice little counterbalance. You know what I mean? You're working towards something. You got something in your head that's positive, that you're excited for. I love doing this thing on my phone where I put like a little countdown widget for something I'm looking forward to. And it just gives me a nice little like, oh yeah. And then I I don't see it for a couple of days and I see it again and I go, oh my God, we're so close. It's nice. But anyways, after Summer Game Fest, after the Nintendo Direct we all just watched, we have a good idea of what the rest of 2024 holds in terms of video games. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to run you through my top 5 most anticipated games for the rest of the year and explain what I think these titles have going for them. Explain why they're on my mind, what I'm thinking about, when I'm looking forward to them, but also identify where I think they could go wrong, what their biggest challenges are, and at the end I asked some friends and fans on Twitter what their most anticipated games were. So we will look at some of those submissions and judge them mercilessly. Okay, so my first most anticipated game for the rest of the year is Mario and Luigi Brotherhood, dude. Man, love the title. This game is doing so much right. In that reveal trailer, I think the first thing we need to talk about, why I think this game is finding immediate success with people, is the art style. It's a great 3D translation of the original Mario and Luigi illustrations. And I think more than just, I see this a lot, you know, people are like, oh my God, the art style is nice. Yes, but I think it's more than just visually pleasing, right? I think what you're seeing here is an art style inspired by kind of like old school Mickey Mouse cartoons, like the arms and the legs. They're a little bit more noodly. And I think what that does is it gives the character a kind of logical freedom to participate in and like pantomime like Looney Tune antics. And all of this, and what this does, like why you give this art style in this specific game, is that it justifies watching and enjoying the kind of cartoonish storytelling happening on screen. Like imagine if they just like copy and pasted like Mario Party Mario and put him in this game and did the exact same scene. It wouldn't be as interesting. It wouldn't be as fun to watch. You wouldn't be as engaged in the storytelling, and you might even skip the scene. So for a game that is at least a little bit concerned with, that wants you to be interested in whatever narrative it is showing, even if it is simple, even if it is just kind of like a cartoon, it makes that investment to justify you, the player, being interested in it. Now, another positive I'm seeing here is that I think a lot of the Mario and Luigi games, they could get a little gimmick heavy, whereas everything we see in this trailer, it seems nice and simple. Like every action that Mario and Luigi do, I think is based on what you know of those characters, you know, using hammers, throwing shells, even if it is heightened and exaggerated and fun in a unique way, I think that there is an intuitive logic to it that makes sense for these characters. And again, I think I just like that this trailer isn't giving me the hard sell on a gimmick. Like we've all seen trailers like that, right? Where it opens up and it's like, and here's the special thing you can do in this game. Oh, pull on Luigi's mustache. And look what happened. You know what I mean? The fact that we're not doing that, to me, says that what's important to this game is that it's a good RPG, that it's a quality adventure. And that's great. So my one concern for this game is I'm not sold on these guys. I know that there's this talking point in like the Mario and Luigi or the Mario RPG fandom that original, unique characters are good and generic characters are bad, you know, like a generic Goomba or a Toad. And if you know me and you know my content, you know where I'm going with this. I don't like that criticism because it's not specific. It's not speaking to what people like about original characters and what people don't like about the generic ones. And So let's like talk about that for a second. And I do think that a character being original is not like the end all of whether or not something is executed well, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't played all of these games, but is every single original character in a Mario RPG beloved? Like, are people really attached to like the in Origami King, like the paper guy? Like, do people like love that guy? I don't know. So let's talk about this. So ideally, I think the original characters in any game serve the world building and they feed into narrative potential of an RPG. Like typically in an RPG, you explore new towns and communities, you meet a new character, and interest is built in that character by discovering what they need, how you're gonna help them, and where the story will go while and once you do. I like to think of narrative potential as a mystery element that is present in every story. You meet a character and you wonder how the story is going to utilize them, where the story will take them based on how much potential the story charges them with, right? Like, I'm sure we've all done this. You're playing a video game, you're playing an RPG, you go up to an NPC, you talk to them, they give you a few lines of dialogue, and then you never think about that NPC again. And it's because the story is not charging them with narrative potential. You intuitively pick up that the story is not interested in that person and that they are not important. But like, I'm streaming Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door right now, and I think what that game does is it does such a good job of giving every character like little backstories and immediate circumstances so that they feel intuitively important. They can be utilized in different ways by the story as it evolves. And it's like every character is a setup. They're set up. They are a setup, and I'm just waiting for the story to use them as a punchline later. So like when a random NPC pops up again in, the Thousand Year Door story, it feels organic. It makes sense because they are holistically building that world and injecting these random NPCs you meet with narrative potential that makes you think about them. It makes you interested in them. That game does that so well. And in Brothership, I think I am a little concerned that these characters won't be quite as interesting. Now, what does that look like? They serve a singular purpose in the story, right? You meet an NPC, and maybe it's like, oh, the purpose of this NPC is we need Mario to help somebody. So you go up to them, they tell you what's going on, and they say, okay, Mario, so here's the deal. There's 6 of these things. You gotta go get them, and then you never talk to them again. They're simply the dressing for everything going around. They themselves are not that interesting. They only serve a singular purpose. They are there to do this one thing. So I am concerned about that. Like, will these characters justify their existence beyond just being the people that Mario have to help? Or will they be as forgettable as like the Brutals in Super Mario Odyssey? I'll have to wait and see. Oh, and my Metacritic prediction for this game, I've decided we're gonna do this now. At the end of each one of these, my Metacritic prediction for Mario and Luigi Brothership is 83. Okay, so my next most anticipated game is the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Now, I think part of being somebody that is interested in thinking about video games when they're not playing them is that you're involved in like a meta conversation. I actually talked about this in a previous episode of Catch My Drift where I compare it to being a basketball fan, to being a sports fan. And I think what's so interesting about this Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection is the meta conversation around it. That's where my mind goes. I really am excited to play this game, but what's titillating my mind is that I'm wondering, like, people have been begging for a port of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for like a decade. If you're not familiar with this, if you're like a Nintendo fan and you're not in this discourse, it's like the same as Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, I think. People have been saying for years and years and years and years, we have to go back to this. Can we get this again? And because of that, because of this like reputation that has just been boiling over years, I am really curious to see if when this game comes out, when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is re-released, does it like reignite the fighting game scene? Is this all of a sudden like one of the most watched games at EVO? Is it even there? And like, I really want people to understand how big this is. I think it's like if Nintendo decided to release Super Smash Bros. Melee. Like all this, now do you all of a sudden have all of these old veteran players playing the game, getting back into it, and you have this new influx of new players who are picking it up for the first time? Like that's so freaking huge. And then I think the other element at play here is that I was like watching this year that new Disney Plus X-Men cartoon, and the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking, I cannot believe that there is not like a modern X-Men game that I could be playing right now to capitalize on this excitement that I'm feeling for the X-Men brand. And now here we have a video game with Cyclops slapped on the cover. Does that feed into this at all? Do the sales for this game just go like completely insane because of the revitalized brand power of X-Men? These are the things that I'm just like curious to see how all this shakes out at the end of the day. And to be honest, I'm hard pressed to think of a port of any game that if you were to release it now in 2024 that has the potential to have like a bigger impact than Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I literally cannot think of a port of a game that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a bigger deal, that releasing than this. And aside from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, in this collection, you have 6 other games. You've got some modern enhancements. You've got some like art and music, stuff like that I think we've come to expect from these collections. So I think the only way that this game falls flat on its face is if the port is not good. If there's like weird performance issues or something like that with this game. Because if it's a good port, this is a slam dunk. And again, in the comments, tell me if you think I'm crazy, but like I think this is gonna get like is this nuts? Like a 91 on Metacritic? A 91? I think some people are gonna score it a little bit lower because they're gonna say that these old games are just like too inaccessible. And to them, I'll say, just get on YouTube. These games are so old. You can find a million it doesn't matter. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Cannot wait to play as my guy Scott Summers again. Optic Blast. Let's freaking go.
And someone to bring a little darkness to the daylight.
Dragon Age Veilguard, is my next most anticipated game of the year. And just like with that Marvel vs. Capcom collection, I think the meta conversation here is really interesting because you're looking at a developer, BioWare, right? Who at one point, they were on the top of the video game mountain. They were making games that like people that don't play video games were picking up and getting super into. They broke through the zeitgeist, like Mass Effect games, Dragon Age games. These games have hardcore freaking fans that like don't play anything else. And I think that is a special quality. But then BioWare, they, in more recent video game history, they drive off a cliff. They die. They are in the ground. They come out with some games that people don't like, okay? Big don't like. And it's really crazy, I think, what we're about to see here, because this has potential, Dragon Age the Veilguard, to be the phoenix rising from the ashes. I think 90% of BioWare probably didn't even frickin' work there when they made all of these, like, legendary games, right? Like the Mass Effect 3, if you will. And now I think what's really interesting about this game is I just want to see who is BioWare in 2024. They have so many different directions that they can go in with this game, with Dragon Age specifically. What's it look like? What's the combat like? What are you doing with your story? How much do you invest in big open areas or more like linear narrative, like the prestige game experience? Like what do you choose in their position? They have every option available to them. What are they gonna pick? And I just think that that's fascinating, dude. Like, is there a chance that this company could emerge from all of this and say, hey, we're back on top. This is the premier, like, open world RPG, get in. And will those fans, will those people that probably haven't played a video game since Dragon Age Inquisition, will they come back and love this game? I'm so curious to see. And just taking off that hat and putting on just like my personal video game player hat, I gotta tell you, chat, Dragon Age: The Veilguard, I feel like they looked at everything that Dragon Age ever was, and they spit in the face of people that like certain things, and they went to me. They went to Jake, and they said, what do you like about Dragon Age? And I was like, I like action-y combat. I like making a character, getting really into a character creator, exploring. I love classes, dude. Anytime I can just pick a class, lean into it, build out my class. Oh my God. And like, even the art style, it's a little more stylized, maybe even a little bit more cartoony. I feel like what that does is that it gives you get to get away from the shackles of realism. You know what I'm saying? Not every human action needs to feel so heavy and justified. You can make something that has its own little stylized logic to it, because that art style makes everything larger than life. It makes, those big AoE attacks, they can be a little bit more fanciful and cartoony, but it also makes like the expressions on characters' faces, everything is dialed up. It helps the melodrama of a story. It's like you know what I mean? It's got that campy fantasy element to it where everything is larger than life, and that's what I really like about Dragon Age. And I feel like the Veilguard is going to deliver that for me. This is going to be a divisive game though, right? Because they have so many options, I think people are inevitably going to be disappointed with the direction that they choose to go in. People are going to wish that they went. They're going to talk about what the game isn't a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that this game, Metacritic-wise, 80s, a lot of 8s for this game. You know what I mean? A lot of people that are like, it's good. But then it'll really speak to some people, and then some people will really resent the choices they make, especially with like what the direction the story goes in. So I'm going to say 81 for Dragon Age: The Veilguard. 81, that's my prediction.
So why can I still hear her voice? Focusing my power, I somehow shifted into a parallel time.
Life is Strange, double exposure. This is a quick and easy one. I just like this certain kind of storytelling style and focus. I like, we're focusing on young people in the modern era, which is something that video games don't do too much. You know what I mean? These are people that are like my age, and their circumstances in life are similar to my own. Only they get kind of like this very like literary short story-esque magical realism element. The supernatural element is injected into the story. And what you end up with is this very CW-esque, melodramatic, it's like, it's a little sexy, it's a little, I don't know. So already a lot of the stuff aesthetically that this game does, it's just speaking to the kind of entertainment I like. I want to sit back, I want to start playing this game, I want to get my fiance, I want to get Sarah, I want to sit her down, and I want to say like, dude, we're watching a show right now. We're watching a new episode of a show, but we're making the decisions. Life is Strange, double exposure. Yeah, there's something about it that I think is just accessible and comforting for those reasons. And I think what this game has going for it is, and I'm kind of, it's funny, I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself from games we've already talked about, but I just think that this is emblematic of where we are in gaming, the lessons that are being learned, and our institutional knowledge going up. But the art style in this game, it's readable. You are giving, in a way that I think Life is Strange has never been able to do, you are giving these characters the ability to, viewers can read the expressions on their faces. You can read between the lines. You can judge characters based on how they subtly react to situations. I think that helps you get immersed in what is happening in this story. And because this is, at its core, the main contrivance is that it is a murder mystery, I think you have an element of suspicion that accompanies you while you are a viewer, right? Everything, you are a little bit more suspicious of everyone and everything. You're constantly asking yourself questions that the game doesn't even have to pose. You're wondering who is trustworthy and who isn't, and I think having this art style where you can, read into how characters are making like subtle little expressions, how they're moving, how they're feeling. I think that really aids in just being absorbed into whatever story that they end up telling here. And I also really like the inclusion of, I like that this is Max Caulfield again, the protagonist from the first game, because calling back to what I was saying before about like narrative potential, I think that this character who had this superpower, went through this whole story from beginning to end, there's all this stuff there that I'm like, man, as a writer, I feel like I could write 20 different stories about what she did next. And that's so cool. Like, I just want to see what they pick and where they go with it. You know what I mean? It's almost similar, Chad, to like when I pick up a comic book of a superhero, and it's like, you know, if you ask me narrative potential, who has the most innate narrative potential, I would tell you Nightwing, Batman, the first Robin, basically the adopted son of Batman. I feel like immediately there's like so much that you can do with that character. And every time I pick up a Nightwing comic, I'm like, what are they gonna do, man? What are they gonna do? And that's kind of how I feel about Max Caulfield in Life is Strange. So I'm excited about it. I hope that this game can deliver the soundtrack that people want from Life is Strange games. Very modern, licensed music, alternative pop, punky flavor, just very cool. The first Life is Strange game soundtrack, and I wonder if they have that power again, if they can tap in, get something just as iconic, just as influential in the gaming space. I'm really excited for this game, but at the end of the day, it is a murder mystery, and with murder mysteries, audiences are always most concerned with how well did the twist land for me? Did the twists and turns of the story, the movements, how did I feel gripped by those? You want, in an ideal mystery, you want the feeling to be, oh my God, it was right there all along, combined with, in equal parts, I never saw this coming. An oft-repeated quote of mine, mystery is the opposite of confusion. You can't have a twist and it just, oh, there was no way of figuring this out. The only way somebody could figure this out was when the story was ready to tell me. You can't do that. It's not satisfying. It's got to nail that thing. And I think with any mystery, you're just going to have people who, at the end of the day, don't agree with it. They don't like the direction that the story goes in. So I think out of all of the games I've listed so far, I do think that this will be a divisive one. And I don't think we're gonna, man, Life is Strange Double Exposure's Metacritic score, 77. But I hope I like it a lot. And my final game, Astro Bot on PlayStation 5, a jolly platformer. Let's just get right into it. So I think the beautiful thing about this game's reveal trailer is that it makes you believe that this game could be better than a Mario game. Not only does it look bright and colorful and joyful, I think they do some really smart things in this trailer. They showcase the power-ups in this game, and the way that they're designed is that each power-up seems to be tied to a specific animal. So you don't just get some random robot ability that gives you stretchy, punchy arms. You get a frog, the frog power-up, and it does this. You associate that power-up with something memorable and cute and fun, and it logs itself in your mind. It becomes memorable. It is injected with meaning beyond the power. It's not just the power, it's something extra. That's really smart. That is something that a lot of games don't do, that I think Nintendo and Mario games are really good at. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I didn't just get this dash or this shield, I got the dog power. Creating a language in the game itself that is, I think, intuitively fun and joyful. I think that's really good. But this trailer understands something that I think no trailer has ever done better than the Super Mario Odyssey's trailer, right? Where you're seeing escalation. There is almost a scientifically calculated idea of like which power-up should come next. They get greater and greater. They get more exciting, more interesting, more fun. And I feel like this trailer for Astro Bot understands that too. It just knows how to escalate. And I think that what this game's conversation is going to be when it comes out is going to be very much in conversation with Mario. I think half of the reviews for this game are going to invoke Mario. They're going to say, that's literally going to be the topic of conversation. I'm so sorry if this bothers you, but the topic of conversation with Astro Bot is going to be, Mario's got a new challenger, baby. Oh man, is this even better than Mario? And I got to tell you, I think where PlayStation is going to find some success is that I think there's a part of PlayStation that is maybe a little bit worried about not being able to entirely capture the general audience that Mario does, the younger audience that Mario does. So this game, not only will it have all the stuff that appeals to them, that appeals to us for those purposes, I think that this game is also going to have like really serious challenge modes and leaderboards and like hardcore competitive things that are going to make it even more interesting and hold its place longer than like a lot of Mario games do for that crowd of gamers, the crowd of gamers that wants those things. And I think that those people are a lot of them are in the press and will love it for those reasons. So I think that this game's going to do really well. Yeah, so Astro Bot, man, just looks good. Just looks great. That's going to be Astro Bot's going to be game of the year for a lot of people. I think that this game's Metacritic score is going to be 92. I have huge confidence in this game. I think it's, at the end of the day, after a year, I think it'll probably be in the top 5 best-selling PlayStation 5 games because it's going to get around. It's going to get around that Astro Bot is challenging Mario. Challenging him. All right, so those are my top 5 most anticipated games, but we are not done. I put out a tweet and I was asking all the friends and fans what they were looking forward to. So this I know we've already been here for a while, but I thought we'd just give a nice little scroll here, go through some responses, and I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking about these games, okay? The games that people have suggested. So first, we've got Steam Deck HQ. If you're not familiar, love Steam Deck HQ. Always giving me the good recs for games that run well on the Steam Deck. You never know. You never know. Easy to miss stuff on that PC platform too. So if you have a Steam Deck, definitely follow them. Check them out. They say easy. Metaphor over here. And they're referring to, of course, Metaphor ReFantazio. Probably the winner for worst title in video games of this year. Metaphor ReFantazio. This is a game that people in the gaming press clique are really excited about. Nobody cares about this game more than like my capital G gamer friends. And I gotta tell you, I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. A part of me feels that this game, all of the heavy lifting has been done by how much people love like Persona 5. And it's just enough Persona 5 that people are like, oh, okay, you know what, Persona 6 not here, but this'll tide me over. And it looks good. It looks quality, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, every time I watch a trailer for this game, it just kind of seems like JRPG gibberish. Like, why are people so much more excited for this game than they are like a Shin Megami Tensei game? Like, even like that new one that just came out or is just coming out. And I almost wonder if like proximity to Persona is like a quantifiable thing that we could just be like, this game's proximity to Persona is so high. I can't wait for it. But listen, we'll see when the game actually comes out, am I right? Okay, Twitter user Wash Your Crack says Mario Party Jamboree. Friendships are reforged in fire. Okay, so I am this rare person that likes motion control when it comes to like, depending on the context, I love motion controls. And I think that mini games are a really good context for motion controls because they even the playing field between sickos like me and casual video game players. So like, I'm all about this. I think that Mario Party game is going to be really fun. I think that 20-person online mode looks really cool. It's like a Mario Party game that has ambition. I think that trailer is really nice. And I actually didn't appreciate how nice that trailer was the first time I watched it. And like the second and third time, I was like, oh, this actually, it's a little slow. It's not celebrating itself quite enough, I think. And I do think that since Mario Party games are so visually like, you know, you squint your eyes and they all kind of look the same. I think that really, really hurts the franchise in a way. But when I actually looked at it, I feel like it's the most ambitious Mario Party game we've had in a long time. I hope they stick the landing. because the best Mario Party game that's been released in like a really long time was the one that was just a remaster of all the old stuff we liked. So I hope they've got something here. We'll see. Zachary Cuevas here has Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection has made me feral. That's what I'm talking about. You see, the people are dying for it, dude. But also Dragon Quest III, Mario and Luigi, and Zelda are day one buys. Good picks. I'm a little concerned about Dragon Quest III. At the end of the day, it is kind of like an old NES game. Does it hold up? I'm not sure. I never played it. We'll see. We've got AJ here, friend of the channel, says definitely Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Brothership is a close-ish second. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Damn. I love a video game trailer that takes you on a ride. That you are struggling to understand it as the trailer is playing out. Your understanding evolves, it develops. You go, oh my God, is it this? Oh my God, it's this. Oh no, wait, it's that. No! And this trailer is a masterclass in that. First, you got Link coming in, then Zelda's, and you're like, oh my God, wait, we're playing as Zelda? And then, oh my God, we're doing this. I can make a table, I can do that. And I think that like on a top level, I do have minor criticism here where I do think there is a degree to which Nintendo is like, okay, Zelda is a woman, which means she cannot participate in direct violence. But I actually don't care about that because I think that the mechanic that they came up with for Zelda looks way more interesting than anything Link has ever done than like direct violence. So it's like this fun injection of the emergent gameplay from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom into this 2D Zelda setting. This is the most interesting that a Zelda game has looked for me in like a long time. So I'm really excited about this. I'm not like a huge Zelda head, but I think that game looks great. I'm playing that day one too. See you there. Kevin Kenson. Dude, I love Kevin's channel. I'm sure you already know it. Be sure to check out his second channel. Doing great stuff. But we got to get Kevin on this channel. Kevin, come talk to us. Dragon Age the Veilguard, but in a weird kind of anticipation way, where I'm not convinced it'll be incredible, but I want to know so bad. LOL. As far as flat out hyped for, probably Metaphor Refantazio. Kevin echoing a lot of our thoughts there with Dragon Age. It's like, dude, we just want to see. And that's part of the fun, I think, of being somebody in video games, is it's not, at the end of the day, it's not just sitting down, controller in hand, what it is. It's like, it's the video game citizenship of it all. It's seeing how it shakes out. It's such a fun time. Charlie Wackle says, Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. Not only are those my favorite movies, but Wolfenstein: The New Colossus is my favorite story in a game. Great, dude. Yes, Wolfenstein. It's a perfect blending of things that are extremely my shit, and with Gordy Hobb on the OST, not a question. Love this tweet from Charlie. I am somebody who does not understand Indiana Jones. I don't understand the appeal. I think it's old head, weird stuff. I find the brand to be boring and No, I'm okay. All right. Sorry. I'm going in on Charlie too much. But I love this tweet because they've got, you can feel the passion dripping out of this tweet for Indiana Jones. None of the gameplay I've seen for that game has impressed me. They're doing all this stuff in cutscenes that, to me, the point of the game is so that you look at it and you go, that's my Indiana Jones, all right. And I'm not seeing anything beyond that that's making me go, man, that looks like a standout video game, but I hope to be proven wrong. And listen, I do love those Wolfenstein games, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Mike Towndra over here, the creative director of 61 Indie, says, I'm looking forward to smooching my emo prince. Oh, Mike. Save a little kissy for me. Guys, I think that'll do it for this episode of Catch My Drift. Get in the comments below. Tell me what your most anticipated game is for the rest of 2024. I'll be reading through those comments, and tell me, give me a little juice. Give me a little juice. Say, and Jake, say this right in the comment. And Jake, here's the juice. And tell me why you're excited for that game. You know what I mean? No more listing titles. It's time to yap. We're the Yap Group over on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for catching my yap. Oh my God. Catch my yap.